yes, I'm sitting here with my Tarot Mini 250. I'm getting ready to build it. I put the frame, as I shown in another video, I put the frame together, which is quite easy. Couldn't actually be more easier, probably. So now I'm going to put on the motors and the ESCs and all that. So I'm going to start with the easy part, and that is to attach the motors. I don't know how yet to do that. I probably will put the wires on the inside so that they are protected somewhat, at least. When it comes to the ESCs, there is not a lot of room, and I want to try to get this as clean as possible. So I was thinking of maybe just putting the wires over like that and strip it and like this, or put the wires through this hole. The documentation doesn't say anything about that actually. Maybe this is a cleaner setup. I don't know. I was thinking of that maybe a vibration would wear and tear on the wires when they go through with these sharp edges in the board. And of course, this is a power distribution board included on this Tarot, so we'll just cut the wires to length and solder them on where they are supposed to be. So I'm not quite sure how to do that yet. Maybe it's easier to just attach it like this, some double-sided tape and some zip ties, and then put the wires and just solder it directly on. But anyhow, I'm going to start with the motors. So I think that's going to be fairly easy. So if I align the motors, so I want, if it's possible, to have the wires like this. And where does it line up with the holes? So the holes are right there. Yeah, so I can do it like this. I will only be able to screw on the motors with 2 screws. So let's try one and see how that goes. I have all the screws over here. That is not the motor screws. This is prop nuts. So was there no motor screws with the set? I got this Afro ESC and motor combo set to use with it. I tried to put all the details in on eCalc, and it seems like it's going to be well, more than enough power. But there are no motor screws on this. That's a showstopper. I didn't notice that. All these that I have over on the side here is way too small for the engine mounts. So what were they thinking? Well, that was fairly quick. I will have to stop the video, take a look and see if I've misplaced the screws someplace, and if not, maybe I will have to swap them out. I have another set of motors that I can use. So let me stop the video, and I will get back. Yes, I've been digging around a little bit, and I did find some screws that fitted, but I'm not sure if this is the correct screws. However, I'd also realized that the screws does not fit in the holes. I will have to make the holes in the frame bigger, and I don't want to do that. So I've decided to go with this Tarot This is Terra 1806 2280 kV. Yeah, so I will start with that. So the first thing I will do, these are clockwise and counterclockwise engines. These are not, so this doesn't matter. It's the wiring that it depends. But with these, you have to be, yeah, you have to do it the correct way the first time. And if not, you have to desolder and swap them around. So we'll have to, and I'm going to use a KK2 board for this. So I'm pretty sure that you're going to have motor 1, motor 2, motor 3, and motor 4. It's also labeled on the PCB here. But I'm going to verify with the KK2 that that's the case in an H style quadcopter like this. Anyway, it's going to be easier. I'm going to mount them like this and just solder the wires to the ESCs and put the ESCs there. I'm going to use different ESCs. I'm not going to use these Afro ESCs anymore. I have different ones. Let me see if I can find one. So I have these Hobby Wing X-Rotor 10 amps ESCs. So I'm going to have to use them though. So let me get all set up, clean the table of the stuff that I don't need, and I will be back. Okay, I've attached the motors and I'm now ready for the ESCs. The ESCs is going to be a little bit of a struggle just because of the choice of ESCs. As you can see, the motor leads are supposed to be banana plugs, and these motors doesn't have a banana plugs. It's just leads. Of course, I could solder on some. I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm going to look. If I have banana plugs, I'm going to use them, because well, it doesn't really matter. I was thinking maybe if you need to change it, you don't need to solder, but I'm going to solder the ESC onto the PCB anyway. And so if something breaks, you will have to, yeah, it's going to be some work involved. So I'm probably not going to dwell too much with that, but anyway, I will need to extend the wires and solder them maybe directly. The thing is that if you put solder in here, I don't know how easy it's going to be to remove it if you want to you know, reuse the ESC for something else later. So I think the best thing is probably to use banana plugs if you have some. I'm going to see if I have, I will use them. If I don't, I will not, obviously. Anyway, the next part is going to be to solder on the ESC to the PCB board, the power distribution board, and I'm going to have to do that off camera, and since it's only going to take up a lot of time, and I will just show you how I did it when I'm done, and also see if I will do something about that. So let me start with one first and see how it goes, and I will basically just show you when I'm done. Well, I've jumped forward. It is actually built, finished, at least for my use. It's not a very nice, clean build. That is because it's my local hobby shop, Tiger Hobby, that's going to have this, and he's not going to use this battery, and he's not going to use this BEC that I put on here. So he will swap that out. So that's why it's not that clean. However, I did use the power distribution board, solder on all the connectors and all that, since we are using a different autopilot flight controller than it was originally designed for, I'm not so sure if you are saving any wirings with using the power distribution board. It is designed for the CC3 in mind, and if you use that, I think you will save some wiring. But the way this is set up, I don't think it's a whole lot you are saving. I do not have any FPV gear on it, and of course you can also solder on some wires for that, and then you will probably start saving some wiring. This I've already tested it. I've tried to tune it. I'm not that familiar with the KK2. I'm starting to get a little bit more familiar with it, and it's actually quite easy to program with this programmer. However, you have to get into PIDs and all that stuff. So it flies fairly well. I'm quite sure that I can still do some tuning, but I just wanted to show you what I did. I have mounted all the motors, and I just soldered the motor leads directly to the ESC. The ESC, it's a bit hard to see because it's in between the bottom plate and the arm, but it's actually then soldered directly to the power distribution board, and it's broken out, motor 1, 2, 3, and 4 here, and all of them are then connected to the KK2. So, well, I used the FreeSky receiver, as this is not the S-bus. That's why I need to have all the wires like this, and I didn't have the right servo leads, so I had to make my own. That's why it looks a little bit dodgy, but I'm sure that the owner is gonna fix that. It's gonna be much nicer. So if it takes a little time to build it when you have to solder on to the power distribution board, and if you just whack the ESCs right on and put the ESCs connected directly to the controller board, then it's going to be a much faster build. That's for sure. One other thing, the ESCs that I had did not have a BEC in them, so that's why I needed to have an external BEC to get 5 volts to my receiver. And also at this setup, the KK2 is receiving a power from the receiver as well, from this 5 volt BEC. You can probably power it a different way, but I'm not going to look into that. You also can have some voltage sensing on it, but I have not connected the cable for voltage sensing. So that's it. I have the battery underneath, and this is of course way too big. This is just for testing purposes. A 3-cell 300 milliamps. I think it's more a correct size. This is a 2200 milliamps 3-cell. So, but 1300 or something in that area would probably be best. The motors does not take 4 cells, so 3-cell is the most you can do with this. What else? It's very easy to fly. You have 2 modes. I put it up for 2 modes, so you can have manual mode or acro mode, and then you can also have the self-leveling mode. And in the I do recommend to start in the self-leveling mode. So yeah, basically that's it. So it's going to be fun to fly, I'm quite sure. Yes, so let's take a look and see if the Turret 250 Mini quad flies. So I'm gonna lift it up in stabilized mode. So let's see. So it's just a little breeze here. It's not a lot of wind, so it's very sluggish in this mode. Not a whole lot of reaction, but for a beginner that's probably a good idea. And I'm quite sure there are still some tuning you can do on the KK2. So if I land it, disarm it, and I disarm the, let's see if I disarm the, no, it's still in the self-leveling mode. So now it should be without, yeah. So now it's not leveling it out itself, or is it? I think I will leave it with that, and I will bring it to the owner, and he can tune it from there himself. So thanks for watching.